Hey guys, welcome back to the Beyond the Game podcast. My name is Jess Crowe and I'm joined here today by Sam Heazlett. Sam, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. How is it doing?
Hi Jess, thanks for having me. It's good. I'm glad we could make the time zones work. I know it's a bit late for you over there in the UK at the moment, but glad to be on the podcast.
Excellent, great stuff. Well, let's get straight into things. Now, take me right back to the beginning before we get all into the professional career. Where did you first fall in love with cricket, and how was the game first introduced into your life?
Yeah, I think I loved playing all sports when I was younger. I was, athletic kid, and I was a real competitor. I liked winning and competing, and so I tried lots of different sports in Australia. In Brisbane, where I'm from, the weather's beautiful, so we're pretty lucky. We get to be outside running around all year round, and yeah, I think summer cricket is what we do in Australia, and so that's what I did when I was about 7 years old. Went down to the local club and played a bit of Milo cricket, they called it back then, with the plastic bat and ball. And one of the under-10s players, I think pretty early on, broke his arm, and the under-10s coach came over to me one day when we were playing our plastic cricket and asked me to join the under-10s team with the hard ball and wooden bats. So that was where it started. I played a lot in the backyard with my parents and with my friends, which was good to have a nice big backyard to play in growing up too, which I think helped my game. But that's where it started for me.
Excellent. And now, of course, watching cricket as a youngster, growing up, who are some of your biggest inspirations in the game?
Yeah, there's been a few, I guess. As a left-handed batter, I loved watching Mike Hussey. He was such an incredible player. When he came in to the Australian side, scored a lot of runs. I liked watching Michael Clarke bat. He was a nice batter to watch. Funnily enough, the guy that I looked up to the most growing up probably was James Hopes, who played a lot of one-day cricket for Australia and played for my state side, Queensland, and for the Brisbane Heat. And he was an all-rounder. I used to bowl pace growing up too, so I sort of saw myself as a similar sort of player to him. I thought he worked really hard. I thought he did the basics well. He wasn't necessarily the fastest bowler or the biggest hitter or the prettiest batter to watch, but I thought he really worked hard and fought for the victories out there and did what the team needed. He batted in different positions and was very adaptable. So that's a guy that I loved watching play, and was very fortunate enough to actually play with him in the last year or two of his career for Queensland and Brisbane Heat. And then he went to coaching, and I've been involved with a few of his teams with Queensland and with the Hobart Hurricanes as well.
Are there any other of your heroes that you've either been able to meet or share the field with them?
I guess I wasn't one that really idolized people massively in general. I loved watching the sport, and I just enjoyed good talent. I enjoyed close games of cricket and just being excited by what the outcome was going to be. It was pretty cool to play with guys like Brendan McCullum and Chris Lynn, who I also grew up watching a bit of. And then probably it was even more in awe of just the players I played against, guys like Glenn Maxwell or Aaron Finch, who are fierce competitors who, I used to watch on TV playing for Australia or playing for their Big Bash teams, and then having to walk out in the field and play against them, especially when I hadn't been to training with them, I hadn't met them in person. They still seemed like they were just another person you saw on TV who wasn't quite real. So to play against them was a different experience.
And of course, playing in the professional cricket circuit, which we'll get into shortly, obviously, you're surrounded by all these big international players. And as a youngster yourself, making that debut so young, you're obviously quite influenced by a lot of those players. Are there any players that you took their style of playing that you still see in your own game now?
Oh, I guess when I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of T20 cricket when I was younger. It was a red ball game. It was one-day cricket. And that's why I think I still love those formats today. I do enjoy playing 2020 cricket. It's great playing in front of big crowds at nighttime, and having it over and done with very quickly, and the momentum shifts so quick, and it's very exciting for the fans. So T20 cricket, it's hard to say there was someone that I really took my game and based it off. I think AB de Villiers was one that I didn't see him as being the biggest, strongest guy on the field who could just muscle sixes around, but he was able to use the whole area of the ground. They call him Mr. 360, playing the ramp shots, reverse sweeps. He was able to pick the gaps really well, hitting over cover, hitting over mid-wicket into the pockets. So I think that's what I tried to do well as someone who also couldn't clear the biggest boundaries. I'm not the strongest player. It was about being able to pick my spots and being able to, whatever field was set to me, trying to be able to manipulate my game and my approach to be able to maximize what I could with that field and plan against me.
And you mentioned that you share the field with players like Brendan McCullum, Chris Lynn as well. Can you remember from your entire career, is there any piece of advice or inspiration that these players have given you that have particularly stuck with you over the years?
Oh, there's so many different things I picked up from different players, and just knowing how they go about it differently. AB de Villiers was one that I played with at the Heat too, and I asked him, what's the secret? What makes you so good? And he sort of said there is no real secret. He said his focus was just being as still as possible on release, making sure he wasn't moving when the ball was coming out of the bowler's hand, so he could just track the ball out of the hand, out of the release point, and he gets all the cues he needed from there. I liked what I heard from Sam Billings playing with him too. He was sort of talking about switching off between balls and not overcomplicating things. And I was talking about how I sort of sing a bit of a song between balls to just relax and reset. And he was saying he took it even further than that. He sings a song even when the bowler's running in, even when the ball's been released, he's still singing a song in his head. And just to make sure he's not thinking about what he's doing technically or worried about what happened in the last ball or what might happen after that. He was just relaxing, just being cruisy and just letting his body take over, letting it happen and trusting his game.
You've got a go-to song that you go for there?
I try and get the Spotify playlist up when I'm driving on the way to a game and try and make sure there's songs that I just know the words to at least, so I'm not singing the same one line from that song. There's nothing in particular. There's a band called the Rubens that I enjoy listening to, that I probably sing a few of their songs in my head. But yeah, a bit of everything really.
Great stuff. And now you mentioned, of course, growing up playing in the backyard, spending your summers playing cricket as a kid. Was there any pivotal moment in particular that sort of you knew that this could be a potential career path for you?
It's funny. I always wanted to play cricket for Australia or just play sport in general, be out in the sun and sweating and competing. But I never really thought that it was going to happen necessarily. It always felt like it was a long way away. It always felt like, oh, that couldn't happen to me, sort of thing. And so I worked really hard at school. I took that seriously and studied hard. And my parents prioritized that as well, but they also really supported what I did on the sporting field. But I guess, I got picked in a few rep teams along the way, which gave me some confidence. But then I had some seasons which were terrible as well, where I scored hardly any runs and felt like there was no chance I was going to be a professional cricketer because I couldn't even score runs in under 14s winter cricket or whatever it might have been. But it happened. I guess I kept persisting and getting the support that I needed from good coaches and was able to be resilient enough to push through those failures and stick to my game and what worked best, and got given some opportunities along the way that I was able to take. There's been plenty that I haven't, but I was able to take opportunities at the right time and push my career forward with that.
Great stuff. And now let's touch on your professional debut then. I've got here, you made your first class debut for Queensland in the Sheffield Shield, November 2015. You scored 129 and 78 on debut. Did any pressure of being a debutant sort of just disappear in the middle of that game?
Oh, I felt nervous, that's for sure. But I didn't expect to play. No, I was on a rookie contract with Queensland that season. I just played a season in England and came back and joined the Bulls squad. Didn't expect to play any games, and that was the second game of the season, and they threw me in there and they said, you're batting 3 and good luck. And I think that what helped was just I didn't have high expectations of myself that game. I wanted to do well and I backed my skills, but I thought, gee, I'm going to have to be really good today. I'm going to have to be at my very best and just take it one ball at a time. And I wasn't thinking too far ahead because I thought this next ball is going to be tough to get through. I'm going to have to be good here. And I'm sure I got a couple of edges here and there early in my innings, and but then from there on, it was nice to find the middle of the bat a few times. And I played against, I think, James Faulkner and Ben Hilfenhaus, Xavier Doherty, a few guys who played for Australia that game, and it was nice to start the career well.
And of course, if I've done the maths correctly there, you were just 20 making your professional debut for that squad. It's kind of like that Wayne Rooney story of sort of being the youngest lad in the squad and just sort of stepping into the role and acting like you've been there for years. What was your mindset there?
Yeah, I definitely felt like a young guy in the team back then, and I sort of still do now. Actually, I sort of now, even though I am one of the more experienced players in a fair few teams, I still feel young at heart. And but definitely back then, I was very quiet. I was pretty reserved around the more experienced players. I think I just didn't want to embarrass myself and say something silly. And in those team environments, you get hammered pretty hard if you say something silly. That they let you know about it, the boys. But yeah, I was a quiet kid, and but everyone was very supportive. The whole team was behind me and gave me plenty of advice leading up to the game, how to play reverse swing bowling. You never really get to play in club cricket where it's a 2-day game or a 1-day game. The pitch doesn't get rough enough, or no one knows how to shine the ball well enough to get it reverse swinging. But in the 4-day fixtures at that level, they were able to get the ball reverse swinging. But thankfully I had that preparation, so I had a good lead in. But yeah, it seems like quite a while ago now.
Well, you started that season on the right foot, because then you went on to score over 600 runs in that season. What was key to that success for you, do you think?
It was nice to start well. I guess they gave me some confidence and made me feel like I belonged at that level, and was able to play positive cricket, play aggressive cricket from then on, and just back my skills. I think it's when you're fresh on the scene like that, opposition don't really know what to expect. They're not really sure exactly as much your strengths and weaknesses and how to go about it. So it always gets tougher and tougher in the following years, where the opposition analyse your technique a bit more and see how you've gotten out the previous season. And that's why you need to keep adapting as a cricketer too. But yeah, I think I was used to playing on the fast, bouncy pitches that we got around Australia. Growing up in Brisbane, the pitches were similar to that everywhere in club cricket. So it was nice to be in similar conditions. And even the club cricket in Brisbane, it's a very high standard playing first grade here. So it set me up well to make that step up into first class cricket.
And you mentioned those players that are very quick to give a dig at you when you say something wrong. But of course, as you say, one of the youngest in the dressing room, a quiet, sort of more reserved character. Was there anyone that sort of took you under their wing more so?
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one. I'm trying to think back now to those early days and who really stood out. I think there's guys like Joe Burns, who had played a lot of Shield cricket at that stage, who was able to provide really good advice to us batters coming through about how to do it at that level. Usman Khawaja, of course, being around the squad, extremely professional player in his preparation, does it his own way, but knows how to be successful at that level. Thankfully, I had some young guys in the squad who I played a bit of cricket with, Matt Renshaw, Mitch Swepson, a few of the young bowlers coming through at the time too, who I sort of played underage youth cricket with. So it was nice to have some younger guys in the team that made me feel comfortable in the group as well.
Excellent. And now let's talk off away from the boundary, then off the field. Were there any moments off the field that stood out to you or that you particularly remember in that time?
Yeah, I guess it's just going from being in at home and playing local cricket all the time to then being on a plane and traveling around the country every couple of weeks. I went into playing all formats pretty quickly there, from 4-day, 1-day, and T20 cricket, and that's a busy summer. It's a lot of travel, a lot of time on planes, in hotel rooms, which was great as a young guy. It was nice to hang around your mates every day, and on days off trying to play a bit of golf. I was never a great golfer, but a few of the cricketers were very good. I'm more of a surfer myself, and it's a bit tough to carry a surfboard on a plane if you're going to Perth or Sydney or something to play cricket. So I didn't get to do too much surfing on those trips. So I was able to try my hand at a few new things like golf or playing cards against the boys, whatever it might be. It's just nice to build that camaraderie as a group and spend a lot of time with your mates every day.
making your professional T20 debut then straight into the deep end at the BBL in the 15-16 season, performing on that big stage. Did that come naturally to you, or was that something you kind of had to really work on beforehand?
I can't say I worked on it. I think I was very nervous at the time, again, going into it. I think my first ball, I dug out a Yorker for a dot ball. The second ball I played and missed that. Maybe it was the other way around, but a couple of dots to start with. And then third ball or something like that, I hit for six back over the bowler's head. So, and it definitely wasn't planned. I didn't go out there thinking I was going to do that. I think it was just the adrenaline rush the first time playing in front of such a big crowd. I think we were also 2-0 when I came out to bat. So if I'd lost my wicket and we ended up being 3 wickets down for 5 runs at the time, I probably would have been in a bit of trouble from the coach. But it was just the adrenaline. And from there, I think I premeditated a fair bit. I walked around the crease. I did some things that maybe nowadays I'd look back on and think that I could have been a bit more patient. And but it worked out well. It was that aggressive approach, I guess, playing without fear, without too much expectation on myself, and being a bit fearless in the moment was helpful.
Who was your captain in those first few years?
I think Chris Lynn was the captain, but I think maybe my first game I filled in for him when he was injured, I believe. We had Dan Vittori there at the Heat early on, who then ended up coaching as well, and Brendan McCullum was around the squad in those early years. Yeah, so those 3 guys I think were the leadership sort of players in the team around that time. I actually have a pretty poor cricket memory, which is a lot of people talking about their cricket careers, and they can pinpoint certain balls and who was bowling and where the fielders were and what happened. And I think, wow, how can you do that? I can't remember the last game I played very well. So I'm sorry if I'm not spot on with these things, but yeah, I'll do my best.
No, honestly, I've had these podcasts with some guys who, as you say, can tell me exactly where the field was set, exactly what ball they played, exactly what ball they got out. Crazy. I don't know what I did yesterday, let alone all of that. But anyway, so you played with the Brisbane Heat until the 2023 season, spending 8 seasons with those guys. What was that time like for you?
Yeah, I was a proud Queenslander, and playing for my home city of Brisbane too was what I always wanted to do. I guess there were opportunities along the way to move and try different things and play for different sides, but I've always liked to stay true to the team that I've been with, especially being my home side growing up. You meet a lot of new people who come into the team, whether it's overseas players or interstate players coming in each year, which keeps it fresh. It keeps it interesting. But it was good to stay around that core group of players that, again, like a lot of them that I grew up with playing under 17s, under 19s cricket, and being able to learn with them and develop with them and still see a lot of those guys having success today is pretty cool.
And then moving to the Hobart Hurricanes then in that 23 season, what was that shift like for you?
Yeah, it was good. It was really good to play in a different environment for a change. It was Hobart's a great place to be, especially in that summer period. I'm not sure about the winter. I don't think I'd want to be doing their preseason training in winter down there in the cold, but it was good. I'd been to Hobart quite a few times for cricket games, and it was nice to be in a different environment. Played a lot more golf down there as well on their courses in Hobart. Being away from home, not having I do a lot of cricket coaching, so I didn't have the cricket coaching to do down in Hobart, so I had more free time to be able to do that with the boys who love their golf down there. Matt Wade and Mac Wright, Ben McDermott, those sort of guys love getting out on the golf course. But yeah, it was a good professional unit down there. They went on to win it the next year, I think, but they'd been a team that'd been building strongly over the years and had a good side, but hadn't quite had the success. So it was a shame not to play as much cricket with them as I'd like to, and I was sort of expecting to moving down, but that's professional cricket for you. It doesn't always go the way you think. Sometimes you don't expect to play and you get picked, and then other times you think you should be there and you don't get the opportunity, but you just go take it when it comes.
course. And now look, the big stage, the flashy lights, the big games is what the fans love to see. But of course, we know that the players, they love going back to sort of their roots in cricket, their home ground, the training facilities that aren't quite as shiny and new as these franchise cricket facilities we see nowadays. Do you resonate with that? And what does that place look like for you?
Definitely. Yeah, I've always played club cricket for Redlands Tigers, which is my local team, and I'm still there nearly every day training or coaching. And we're very lucky. The facilities there are good. There's some amazing volunteers who do a great job behind the scenes to make it a great place to play. And yeah, I love getting back there. I think it reminds me of why I play the game, is to have fun. And, not that I feel any less pressure playing at that level, but just that you're playing with other guys who aren't professional cricketers, and they're doing it because they love it. They don't have to be out there. They work during the week and they're tired, but they still are playing cricket because they love hanging out with their mates and the challenge of the game. And so, yeah, I think that really just, every time I go back, it reminds me of why I play and allows me to have a lot of fun.
Definitely. I mean, I love to see it. Like in my hometown, we've got a village cricket ground where there's like a pavement going through the pitch, and you've got like old ladies getting their shopping on a Sunday morning, like just strolling through. It's great to see, and the players obviously love it, as you say, as well. But speaking of the big stage, of course, making your Australia ODI debut, that must have brought an immense amount of pressure wearing your country's flag on your chest.
Yeah, it was a bit of a late call up. I think Steve Smith got injured, and so I was called into the squad, and again didn't expect to play the first game at Eden Park against New Zealand. But then I think Matt Wade got injured in the warm up, like a couple of minutes before the toss, and so they brought me into the team. And I didn't have a sleepless night the night before because I didn't expect to play. So it was nice that I got a good sleep that night leading into it, but super nervous going into the game. I was told I was batting at number 6. Darren Lehman was the coach, and he said, "You're batting at 6, so you probably come out there with 10 overs to go. Just go probably play it like a T20 more so at that stage and play your shots." And I came out at 4 for 40, I think, when we were in a bit of trouble. So it was not the best situation to come into on debut, but it was a dream come true playing for my country. Being there when you're singing the anthem and having those caliber of players around you is what you dream of, and every player wants to get to that stage. So I'm very fortunate to have gotten that chance.
And when Darren Lehman came over to you and said, "Sam, you're playing for Australia today," do you remember that emotion that you felt in that moment?
Yeah, it was definitely like a brain explosion, just because of feeling a bit overawed in the moment, I guess, and not expecting it. And then trying to be like, all right, how do I switch on into game mode and prepare when the game's just about to start? It was not a normal preparation for me, but I had trained a couple of days beforehand in the nets and been talking to the other boys in the team about what to expect and trying to learn off them with that experience too. So yeah, that was. I remember the change rooms there at Eden Park and being informed. So that was a good moment.
Now, look, I can't leave this podcast without mentioning Nepal. The Nepal Premier League that we both just recently experienced a couple of months ago. You played for the Ratnagar Kings. Can you possibly describe the sheer adoration those fans in the nation have for the game of cricket over there?
Yeah, I loved it. It was great. And we have quite a strong Nepalese community in Brisbane, in Australia here. And I have a few friends that I play with or against that have played in the NPL and now live in Brisbane and go back and forth, and they're great people, and I watch their Nepalese competitions here in Queensland, and they get just as into it playing park cricket here in Brisbane, and love their cricket so much, and have the music playing and dancing, and they're cooking up their food in local cricket here. So it was that and even more over there. The crowd loved it. It was loud. It was fun. It was a positive experience. It was a month over there, but the month went really quickly because it was a lot of fun and the people looked after us well. It's a beautiful country to visit and to check out. The mountains and the snow on the hills over there is beautiful. So it was challenging cricket. The wickets were tough work at times, certain games, played with some great cricketers in Martin Guptill and Faf du Plessis in our team. So, yeah, I'd love to go back and do it again.
And was Nepal somewhere you'd experienced before?
I hadn't been there before. No, I'd played a bit in like India and Sri Lanka, which I guess similar conditions from time to time. But no, I was very excited to visit the country for the first time. And, we're very fortunate as cricketers that we're able to travel the world at times to play cricket. And yeah, I went to Pokhara in Nepal as well, and visited and went in the caves with all the bats there, and went on the lake, and it's a beautiful country.
Great stuff. And now let's talk about off the field then. Of course, you mentioned there you love surfing, you like golf. You said you're not too great at it. Your words, not mine. But how else do you like to take your mind off cricket?
Yeah, I love doing other things. So definitely there's a lot more to life than just cricket. And, I've always studied at university as well, and like doing other things off the fields, just to, cricket's not the be all and end all, but yeah, surfing is something that my dad did. He's a surfer and loves it. So it's nice to be able to, if we have a weekend off, go in the water and have a paddle with him. And even sometimes go to Indonesia or overseas on trips with my parents, and nice to spend time with them that way. But golf is a very frustrating sport, but thankfully I don't do that professionally, so I don't have to take it too seriously. I can just go there and try and hit the ball, and if I lose a couple of balls and hit it into the water, then that's all right. I can laugh it off.
Excellent. That's generally what my round of golf is looking like as well. But you mentioned the cricket coaching you do there. What does that setup look like?
Yeah, I think when I came out of school and was at uni, that's the first sort of job that I had, was coaching at schools and doing a bit of one-on-one coaching, and not a lot, just a little bit here and there, but it's just grown over the years, and it's something I never thought that I would do, be a coach, but I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do, is to work with the kids on their game and pass on some advice, and try and make the game of cricket, which is so tough and so hard, as challenging, try and make it a little bit easier for them, and try and give them a little bit of perspective around it. I'm a qualified physiotherapist as well, done an exercise science degree. So I try and use a bit of that knowledge as well with them, and do work with a few players who are injured to get them back on the field too. But yeah, we've got a group of coaches now that work with me at Perform Cricket, and yeah, it's great to just be a part of a player's journey and help them out, and pass on some knowledge that I wish I had, I guess, when I was younger coming through.
Excellent. So we've got cricket coaching, we've got surfing, we've got physiotherapy, and now looking ahead, you've got so much time left in your career, I'm sure. But what are some of those goals and aspirations you have left?
Yeah, I don't like to look too far ahead, especially now. I like to just take it one ball at a time, or one game at a time, and see what happens from there. Of course, I'd love to play more cricket for my state side. I just played the last one day for Queensland at the Gabba, which was great to be a part of again and be back in that environment. And Marnus scored a beautiful 100, and Mitch Swepson got a 7 for, so that was pretty cool to be a part of. So I'd love to play more cricket there, and be back in Big Bash games next season if everything goes to plan. But otherwise, keep traveling if there's opportunities that come up overseas. And got a young family here at home, so it's nice to spend time with them too, and enjoy that part of life. But yeah, we'll see what happens. It's I'm certainly probably take on and say yes to more than I should. If someone offers something to me, I always jump at the chance, but then think back and think, do I have the time to do it? But I always find a way. Just gotta make sure I make enough time for the important things.
Of course. Well, look, Sam, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and hopefully I'll see you on the circuit sometime soon.
Thank you. Will do. Cheers.